If you ask 100 football pundits who is going to win the Premier League this season, 99 of them are going to point to North London or Manchester. They will tell you that Arsenal are the undisputed favourites, sitting comfortably on a foundation they have spent years meticulously building. They will tell you that Manchester City, even while undergoing a massive structural transition and trying to figure out life after losing key pieces in their midfield, are still the inevitable juggernaut. The media is completely obsessed with this two-horse race. But while everyone is busy analyzing Pep Guardiola's tactical tweaks and Mikel Arteta's title ambitions, they are completely ignoring a terrifying storm brewing over Merseyside. And it is arguably the biggest, most fatal blind spot in modern football right now. Let me be brutally honest with you. Liverpool are not hovering on the fringes of this title race, desperately hoping to sneak into the top four and call it a successful transition year. That is the narrative you are being fed, and it is entirely wrong. While the rest of the league thinks Liverpool are wounded, quietly rebuilding after the departure of heavyweights, Andoni Iraola is actually in the laboratory engineering an absolute monster. They do not look like a team in transition. They look like a team specifically designed to become a catastrophic problem for everyone else. To understand just how dangerous this Liverpool side is about to become, you have to look at what is happening right now in the transfer market, because we are witnessing one of the most ruthless, calculated gambles in recent Premier League history. I am talking about a complete tactical identity change disguised as a shopping spree. Behind closed doors, Liverpool are orchestrating a massive raid on Paris Saint-Germain for two players who are about to turn the Premier League into a track meet, Bradley Barcola and Ibrahim Mbaye. This is not just throwing money at the wall to see what sticks. This is a surgical strike. Both of these explosive attackers were mysteriously frozen out of the PSG squad for their recent game against Lens. In the ruthless world of European football, when a massive club completely drops two highly valuable attackers from competitive matches, it is not an accident, and it is not a rest day. It tells you everything you need to know about where their heads are at and where they are heading. The numbers being thrown around are staggering, but they reveal the sheer scale of Liverpool's ambition. Originally, the Parisian hierarchy was demanding an absolutely delusional 145 to 160 million pounds for Barcola alone, desperately trying to recoup the astronomical fees they burned through last year. But reality has set in, and that number has plummeted to a much more realistic package of around 120 to 125 million. Meanwhile, the 18-year-old sensation Ibrahim Mbaye has practically packed his bags. Reports indicate that personal terms on a 5-year deal are already agreed upon, with Mbaye flat out telling PSG that he has zero interest in a previously arranged move to Bayer Leverkusen. He wants Anfield. PSG is demanding around 50 million euros to let the teenager walk, and while Liverpool are playing hardball at this exact moment, prioritizing the Barcola deal, make no mistake, the wheels are aggressively in motion. But here's where the absolute genius of the Liverpool boardroom comes into play. How do you fund a mega raid on the French capital without completely destroying your financial structure? You make a cold, hard, entirely unsentimental business decision. You recycle the money. This brings us to Cody Gakpo and the intense rumors of a massive bid coming in from Tottenham Hotspur. Let us look at the reality of the situation. Gakpo is a fantastic player, but for large stretches of his Liverpool career, he has found himself marooned out wide, isolated, and forced to chase the game rather than actively shaping it. Selling him to a Premier League rival like Spurs might look like a controversial move to the casual fan, but in the grand scheme of Iraola's master plan, it is the ultimate sacrifice play. It is liquidating a very good asset to fund two game-breaking ones. This is the difference between a club just drifting along hoping things click and a club rebuilding with terrifying intent. Every single transfer, every dollar spent, and every player sold points toward one extremely specific, hyper-aggressive tactical blueprint. And what exactly is that blueprint? Complete and utter chaos. But it is a manufactured, highly orchestrated chaos that is going to give opposing managers sleepless nights. Iraola doesn't care about pretty passing sequences in the middle of the park. He doesn't want his team to pass the opponent to death or hold on to 70% possession just for the sake of a neat statistical graphic on television. He wants a team built on speed, directness, and pure, unadulterated aggression. He wants high-intensity carriers all over the pitch who attack space the absolute millisecond the ball is won. Just imagine you are a Premier League fullback this season. You are already exhausted, and suddenly you look to your left and see Barcola, a player built for sheer vertical speed who can cut inside or completely roast you on the byline. Then you look to your right and see a fearless, wildly adaptable 18-year-old in Mbaye running straight at your throat. It is an offensive style designed specifically to force defenders into uncomfortable split-second decisions while running back toward their own goal in a blind panic. If you think this is all just theoretical on a whiteboard, you clearly did not watch Liverpool's final preseason game against Co. That 2-0 victory was not a friendly. It was a terrifying preview of the carnage to come. The scoreline doesn't even begin to tell the story of what happened on that pitch. What we saw was a team already executing Iraola's relentless philosophy with terrifying precision. The transitions from defense to attack didn't happen in phases. They happened in milliseconds. The pressing traps were brutally coordinated, and the standout performance didn't come from a big money forward, but from a player who perfectly represents this new system, Jeremie Frimpong. Let's talk about Frimpong, because if there is one player who should terrify the rest of the league right now, it is him. Anyone who watched Liverpool regularly last season knows that Frimpong struggled. He looked inconsistent. His final ball was constantly questioned. His decision-making in the final third was visibly shaky, and there were times he looked like a square peg being violently hammered into a round hole. But against Co, the player that Bayer Leverkusen fans used to rave about suddenly resurrected on the Anfield turf. His overlapping runs were razor-sharp. His timing was impeccable, and his link-up play with the front three was incredibly fluid. The pass that set up the opening goal was a thing of beauty. Frimpong driving aggressively inside from the right-back position and slipping a perfect ball through the lines. When your inverted fullback is effortlessly threading through balls to your inside forwards, you are not watching random football. You are watching a manager imposing deep, intentional, tactical patterns. But a team built for transition and chaos needs a rock-solid foundation to prevent the chaos from bleeding backward. You need absolute monsters at the back who can handle the immense pressure of high lines and isolated one-on-one defending. Enter Jeremie, Jack, and Ronald Araujo. Let's start with Jack. Playing his first 45 minutes in a Liverpool shirt, a young centre-back, in a completely new league, in a radically new tactical system, with new teammates screaming instructions at him, is supposed to look nervous. He is supposed to look like a deer in the headlights. Instead, within 10 minutes of his debut, Jack was literally orchestrating the backline, pointing, shouting, and moving veteran players into position. The finish for his debut goal at the back post was brilliant, but his sheer arrogance and absolute calm with the ball at his feet under heavy pressure was breathtaking. Then, in the second half, Iraola flipped the script and brought on Ronald Araujo. Where Jack offered silk and supreme reading of the game, Araujo offered pure, unyielding violence. He was a brick wall. He threw his body on the line, won every single aerial duel that mattered, and completely suffocated any late push from the opposition. You have two center-backs with vastly different profiles, providing exactly the right kind of security at exactly the right moments. This defensive solidity is the safety net that allows the rest of the team to play at 1,000,000 miles an hour. This brings us to the ultimate reality check for Arsenal, Manchester City, and the rest of the Premier League. When you take the structure and speed Liverpool already showed in that preseason masterclass, and you bolt Barcola and Mbaye onto the flanks, you are no longer looking at a football team. You are looking at a weapon of mass destruction. The width and the sheer directness on both sides of the pitch will finally match the intensity happening in the center. Chaos completely favors the team that is built to thrive in it. When games get messy, when formations break down, and when the midfield becomes a battleground of loose balls, you do not want to be the team relying on slow, methodical, build-up play. You want to be the team with sprinters ready to punish every single mistake in the blink of an eye. Liverpool do not need to dominate possession to ruin your weekend. They just need you to make one mistake. You can scout tactical patterns, you can analyze passing networks, and you can practice your defensive shape all week at the training ground, but you cannot scout raw speed. You cannot prepare for relentless aggression coming at you from both sides of the pitch simultaneously for 90 agonizing minutes. The deals for Barcola and Mbaye might not be officially signed in blood just yet, but the writing is absolutely on the wall, and the bags are packed in Paris. Once those two players hold up the red shirt, the puzzle Andoni Iraola has been meticulously building since the moment he walked through the doors at Anfield will be complete. So, let the media keep talking about Arsenal's defensive stability. Let them keep wondering who is going to step up in Manchester City's midfield, because while they are looking the other way, Liverpool are coming for the crown, and they are bringing a wrecking ball with them.